Hey peeps, I just wanted to start off right off the bat and announce who the winners are of the prints. So first of all, thank you to everybody who entered. I am just, again, so grateful. So let's just announce them. So the first two winners of the 11x14 prints are Jessica Gibson and Reginald Smart. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Congrats. I will send you guys an email and I'll show you the options that are available to you, and you can go ahead and pick one that you like. The grand prize winner of the big print, the canvas print from my print shop is, drumroll, Josh Mitchell. Congrats, dude. I will get in touch with all three of you guys, Josh, Jessica, and Reginald. I'll send you guys an email and then we can connect and I'll go ahead and get those sent out to you guys. So thank you again to everybody who entered. Let's get back to the regularly scheduled programming. Not that it's regularly scheduled, I don't know why I'm saying that, but let's just get back to the rest of the video, okay? Thanks. I always say that I'm going to vlog during shoots and do like behind the scenes stuff. I tried my best and I forgot. But what I think would be even better actually to do is I want to take you through a full engagement gallery, specifically this one that I shot at the California coast. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right into it. So just kind of to establish some things here. I edit in Lightroom. I like to color code my projects. Now this is something that I've been doing recently. And I typically do red for projects that have just been imported, no editing and no sorting yet. Yellow means that they've been sorted, and green means that they've been edited and they've already been delivered. You do see these blue ones over here off to the left, and those are like personal days, basically. For this particular shoot, I shot a little under 1,700 images, and that is for personal photos. That's for the client photos. And that's also including that there was a second camera involved also. Yasmin had a camera. She was kind of doing some like behind the scenes B-roll of me and then also taking some pictures of the clients. Well, now getting over to the actual photos, this particular photo, you can see that I'm in the library, has a color and it has a 5-star rating. So blue designates personal photos for us. I label them blue just so that they don't get mixed up with the client photos. 5-star ratings are the images that I use for blog posts, for Instagram. Those are the images that I just really love. Everything else is usually a 1-star rating. If I go and I'm just picking a photo, I use Photo Mechanic, and I'll go through and I'll give it a 1-star rating. Sometimes if it's less than like 1,000 images and more like around the range of like 300 images, I'll go through and I'll just use Lightroom to sort the photos. And I'll rate them 1 stars. If I go through multiple rounds, and it can be 2 or 3 stars max, I don't go any more than 3 rounds of sorting. So that is kind of how I do things in that regard. So this is the whole gallery. Started off, I'm just gonna go to my pics. So these are like personal images in the beginning. Some are edited, some are not edited. But it just kind of shows you like how I use this picking system. So the cameras that I use for the shoot, if I bring up the metadata, are the A7 III and the A7R III. So on top of that, the lenses that I used were the 24 G Master and the 28-75. I am a super minimalist in terms of like gear, partially because I don't have a ton of money, but also because I don't like to carry a ton of things around with me. As I show you this shoot, you're gonna see that I'm very much about my client experience. And anything that interrupts that or gets in the way of that, I just don't want to do. And gear is one of those things. If I can just have one camera, one lens to do everything that I need, that's my ideal situation. And that's what I work really hard to try and find that setup that does that. 35mm is my like go-to focal length. And recently I've been really loving 24mm. 24 is what you're seeing right now. The A7R III with the 24 G Master checks off those boxes for me. It's weather sealed. It gives me a 24. I can crop in and get 18 megapixel pictures at 36mm, which pretty much is 35. And I get both of those focal lengths that I use for just about like probably 85 to 90% of my work. So that's cameras. Cameras aside, let's go to the shoot. So personal images. So this is the start of the shoot right here. I always like to start people off with some sort of activity. Typically it's walking, just because photo shoots, engagement shoots it's a tough thing for people. Like, it's nerve-wracking. So by starting off with an activity, with walking or doing something, that allows people to take their mind off of their internal dialogue and their worries and bring them back to the present. So we are at the California coast. We drove down, we're in Montana De Oro, and we drove to a parking lot and we found this trail and we're just walking down trying to make our way to the ocean. And so I'm just taking a couple of like photos as we're walking. Settings wise, this is shot 24 millimeters, ISO 250 at 2.8. We encountered some people on this walk and they were like, hey, there's a rattlesnake over at this bridge. And sure enough, we get there and there's a rattlesnake. So luckily he was just pretty calm and didn't really want anything to do with us, but didn't really care either. So he's just kind of hanging out right there. So here's the walking bit. I had them turn around and walk towards me, and here's that kind of sequence right there. Again, still with the 24. I'm gonna be using the 24 for like 90% of the shoot probably. ISO 160 at 2.8. I usually shoot like 2.8, 2.5, or below that, like 1.8, 1.4 sometimes. I usually tell people to either do something or place them in a general area and then ask them questions like, hey, what are you excited about for your wedding? Or just asking them questions about their relationship and having them talk about that together and kind of reminiscing over things that have happened or maybe that are going to happen. That way, again, it kind of takes their mind off of what am I doing with my hands? What should I be doing now? And more along the lines of being present in that moment and being able to just interact with each other. I want them after the shoot to see their beautiful photos and to remember like that was an awesome day. Like, yeah, there were some things that maybe we ran into a rattlesnake, but it was a great experience. So now we get to some 5-star images. I basically just turned around and they walked the opposite direction. And these are the 5 stars that I picked just because I like the color. I added in some grain here. And it's just really kind of like moody and nostalgic. So cute moments, again, super candid. That's what my shoots are. I don't like posing people. I love this photo, love this moment. You're gonna see that there's some grain in these photos and that's on purpose. I intentionally add grain to Sony photos just because to me, I feel like that they're too perfect. So just know that's where that's coming from. Lighting is changing a lot. There's cloudy lighting, there's full sun that you can see right here, like it's starting to peek out. Always shoot the after moments too. After a little moment happens, always shoot what comes after that because that's kind of like where like the little nuggets lie, I think. So we get to the end of the trail and we're at this like little cliff area. I placed them in a spot and just again, like ask them a few questions, let them talk about that together. And then they can hang out and kind of have a little moment to themselves. And I'm just documenting that. I shot this guy. I love these kind of like out of focus and I intentionally shot this. Sometimes it works out to where like maybe the camera missed, but this one was intentional where I focused on the background and they just are in the foreground out of focus. It's kind of cool, kind of nostalgic, just like a style thing. Love this moment. So this was 24 G Master ISO 200 at 2.8 on the A7R III. And just kind of cool. I don't edit super bright and airy. My style, obviously, if you've seen my Instagram, is pretty moody. I want to do a separate editing video about how I edited these photos, but I usually go to like this filmic type of look, trying to bring out like nostalgia and keeping the romance in there also. So that'll be a whole separate video. I really try and be conscious of if people are comfortable with PDA, do they want it, do they not care for it, do they not want it? So just not really forcing people to do more than what they want to do. I think that's really important. This is about interacting with people more so than it is about being a good photographer, I think. We're walking over to the next spot, which I don't have a plan for really. I'm just kind of walking along and we're adventuring. And that kind of keeps it fun and spontaneous. Some clients like that, some clients don't, so you kind of have to be conscious of that. Some people just need structure. So walking, shooting some shots behind them, letting them just kind of like adventure around, scope things out. Then we get to another little spot and just kind of place them there and again, ask them some more questions and let them have a few moments to themselves. shooting in tight. Now I'm cropped in at 36 millimeters with the 24 at ISO 250. I'm at 2.2 for aperture. The Sonys are really good about nailing focus, so I'm not worried about shooting wide open. Just again, letting them have a couple of cute moments, backing up and shooting some wide shots here. Another landscape just to kind of like show where we're at. And that's more for the storytelling aspect of like later on when I blog. So they started walking along this path and I saw them and I was like, oh, you know what? I think I want to do a wide shot here. That would be super cool. So just a quick little wide. And then they sit down and they're just kind of hanging out there. So again, just kind of letting them hang out, letting them have their moment. So just a cool little behind the scenes moment of me. You can kind of see the setup of what things are looking like. So I have a shotgun mic on top of my camera. That's because at this point I'm doing both photo and video. I'm primarily shooting photos, but I'm also wanting to get some B-roll of them to put into like a little collage of like a highlight video. I want good audio at some point, and I'm thinking already ahead that maybe I want to get audio of them talking about their relationship and use that later on. So this setup, I don't normally put a shotgun mic because sometimes I don't need the audio. But I'm thinking ahead and just wanting the most minimal setup possible because I don't want to interrupt the flow of our dialogue of their moment for me to go get gear or to swap lenses out or anything like that. This is the view of basically what I'm seeing in my camera. So I'm cropped in, I think, cropped in at 36 millimeters, ISO 320, 2.8, and that's kind of what I'm shooting right there. So just getting a few grabs of that moment, remembering for me to do some photos of them facing, looking at the camera, because that's nice to have. Parents like that, and it's good to have for like save the dates or invitations type of thing. Swapping around different sides, so I got up and I got around. This looks like this is the Tamron to me because it's, yep, it's at 68 millimeters. We're shooting this at 2.8. Moving out to the wide stuff. Getting closer at 35 millimeters makes things feel really intimate. It makes it feel like you're there. I feel like 24, I have to get too close and I'm kind of piercing their personal bubble, which I don't want to do. I want to get as close to the edge of that personal bubble as I can without interrupting their moment that they're having together. Love this photo. This one's 5-star. A couple of these are 5 stars. So cute little moment here where she sticks her tongue out at him. I thought that was cute. And then shooting the moments after that, because then she gets into like a laughing, funny moment, and then full on laugh here. And then a super wide over here, which I like, super moody. It's a little dark. So we're walking back and now we get into an outfit change. Just do a couple of like looking at camera type of shots. And then we've changed locations. So we're running out into the middle of the street, making sure that it's safe and that it's clear. Don't do things that are gonna get your clients, like put them in danger or anything like that. And at this point, I'm shooting continuous in terms of my AF mode for this whole time. But at this point, I'm probably shooting in AF wide for the area and letting the camera just find their eyes and track them. They talked about how they like to travel a lot, and when they travel like national parks or something, they run out into the road and they'll take pictures like as airplanes or something like that. So I just had them do that, and it's this funny, like cute little moment that I hope that they'll look back on and think like that was silly, but that was like a fun little memory to have. We went up to this road here and kind of walked up this little trail just to kind of see where it was going, to keep that like adventure going. So this is still the A7r III. I'm cropped in at 36 millimeters in APS-C. The reason that I crop into APS-C rather than crop later on is because it saves me the time of doing it in post. Like if I'm shooting a wedding and I'd shoot it all at 24 and then crop it in later, like can you imagine doing that to like 1,000 photos? Like that would just be so time consuming. Rather than just doing it in camera, it's just so much easier. So somebody asked me that question, and so that was my response to that, and that's why that I do it. So I walk up here, I went to her side to get his reaction, and then did the same for her. So they have that. We walk up to the top, and there's this cute little bench, like camp spot, which is actually really kind of cool. And then she just put her head on his shoulder, which was really cute. So I grabbed that shot. At this point, I think I used silent shutter. And that was so that I could be respectful of that moment. Like I know this is a photo shoot and they're paying me to do this, but at the same time, like I said, I want them to have a good experience. So pull back, do a couple of wides, and then I swap around to the other side and get a couple of them just kind of like talking, looking at each other, having a good time. And here is a wide of that scene up on top of the hill where we're at. And then just having them stand and again, like asking them a couple of questions, letting them talk about it, having a couple cute moments, kisses. And then at this point, we jumped into a third outfit. Typically do 3 outfits, and that usually is good. Sometimes I only shoot 2 and have the third for another option just to see, depending on like the color of the environment. But so we made our outfit change and they took me down to this little spot which they had been to. I had no idea what this was. I'm less about the location and more about the quality of light and them having a good time. Because the light and their emotion will override a bad location, in my opinion. We're walking down this little like overgrown trail area, and then I see this part and I'm like, you know what, that would be super cool. I should have them walk back towards me, and so that's what I had them do. I'm at still 24 millimeters ISO 800, so it's getting a little bit darker now. We're getting closer to sunset at 2.0 for my aperture, so I'm pretty wide open. And I love these photos. It doesn't always have to be super bright and like happy type of mood. I love these like little in-between moments, like I said. So same thing with this guy. Just looks like a cinematic still from a movie. And then there's a little behind the scenes shot of me, again with a different edit. So just kind of like this weird filmic type of thing, a little bit more creative. But I ended up going with this one, which again, like I super love this one. I absolutely love this photo, and the fact that you can just see the light on the edge of her face to give a little bit of definition. And then he's in the background right there. Have them go to the shoreline and just have them walk around, kind of explore. Again, just did 2 different edits so that I have a reference point of like, maybe later on I like this edit, so I'm gonna go pick that, copy those settings, and then paste them onto this set. There was a like condor nest behind me, so that was super cool. They jumped on this rock and started looking at that, just took that shot. And then a couple cute little moments where she looks at him, and they're kind of joking around. At this point, they're super comfortable with me, and they're just kind of going with the flow and making their own little moments happen. And I'm not having to do a whole lot. And this is the part in the shoot that I really love, because they have a feel, they trust me, and they know kind of like we can just be ourselves in this. So that's what my goal is for every shoot. Here's a behind the scenes shot of me. You can see that I still have the D80 shotgun mic up top right there. I just left it on for most of the shoot, I think, because it wasn't getting in my way, and so I just had it there in case I needed it. So they go to the shoreline and I'm shooting the 24 at 36 millimeters cropped in, and she has no shoes on, and they get close to the water and he's kept his shoes on, and she's just having a good old time about him getting scared about getting wet. And again, they just got up on this rock and they're just kind of like adventuring around. I'm kind of like directing them to say, hey, like, what if you guys went and stood up there type of thing. That's about the level to the extent of input that I have in these situations right now. I think at this point, I may have prompted them to say, hey, like, can I just get like a quick hug on there up top? And they did it. So I'm loving the glow that's like up here, like super cool. They brought a couple drinks in their backpack, and we're at the end of the shoot pretty much, so they decided to crack those open and have a drink real quick. I love black and whites like this. Like, I know that her face is blown out, but I just love the glow. And then I think I took a step to the left maybe, just to kind of get that sun in a different spot, so that way I could get a piece of both of their faces in there. Cheers, and they're backlit right now, the sun's to their back, so just grabbing a couple of those moments. I climbed on top of this rock right here with the 28 to 75 is what I switched to now, just because I wanted to shoot some telephoto, I wanted to shoot some wide, and I wanted the flexibility to do that. I'm primarily a prime shooter, but there is a place for zooms when you don't know what you're getting into. I love this too because of the movement in her hair. Movement creates this dynamic feel. Detail shots, I didn't shoot a lot of details in this, but I love this little shot. People like this because when they blow up a picture and put it on their wall, it's kind of weird to blow up a picture and put it up on your wall of yourself, or at least some people I've found that they don't want to do that. So to have a detail shot like this is us, but it's not of our faces type of thing, is also something that clients want. And then this is them on top of the rock just hanging out, just having a good time. He's, I think, Instagramming too. And then that's it. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you did. Let me know what else you'd like to see in the future. And yeah, I felt like this was more beneficial. That way you get to see the whole gallery that ends up get delivered to a client. I know that when I see it, it helps me to feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, okay, that's cool. Like, not every shot is perfect. Anyways, I hope this was informative. I hope that it helped you guys. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.